Hi, Tywin. It's so nice to have you on the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, my man. How are you?
I'm doing fine as well. And thank you so very much for coming, It means a whole lot. I love that. Thank you so much, man. Okay, Tywin. I am
Yeah,
excited
absolutely.
to have you on. I am excited to have you on the show for some reasons, all right? Firstly, my interest in seeking knowledge because I believe it takes knowledge for one to move from a chaotic situation into a beautiful one, the application of knowledge. And secondly, the second reason why I'm excited to have you on the show is for the sake of those ones who will be listening to our conversation. Because I believe that there are some things that Tywin knows that some of my audience needs to hear you say this stuff, directly from your mouth, in order to experience transformation. I firmly believe that. And thirdly, that is me. I believe that I am definitely going to learn one or two things from your story, your insight, and your experiences. So, for that reason, Tywin, I want us to get started with your introduction, your journey, how the journey has been so far, the challenges that you faced, and how you overcame them. Then, afterwards, I've got some beautiful questions for you. Okay, Tywin, over to you.
Awesome, man. I'm definitely excited to be on here. Thank you for the invite. Thank you for, just the chance to share my story. I believe we all have a story and we all need to speak on our story. So I'm kind of looking forward to getting into our conversation and just diving into things.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, so then let us get started with your journey. How has the journey been so far, the challenges that you faced, you know, and how you overcame them? And afterwards, we can dive into the questions. Okay?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So I guess let me kind of maybe bring everybody kind of up to speed. So again, my name is Tywin Kalandyk. So I originally was born a drug and alcohol addicted baby. So I was born right into foster care, which the reason I bring that up because it was a big part of my story. It's a big part of that made me who I am today. And there's probably listeners that are going to listen to this and you faced maybe not the same thing, but I think we all go through struggles. We all have situations that define us. And at the time, sometimes we think those things are a negative or we think those things are a hindrance or we look at them in the wrong way. And I think everything's about perspective. And when you can learn to look at situations that at the time seem negative or seem daunting, or we sometimes ask ourselves, why did this happen to me? Those end up being the pivotal lessons that move us and guide us in the direction that we need to be. So for me, it started at birth. And it was kind of navigating that whole scene of not feeling loved, of feeling like nobody cared about me, or my parents gave me up from birth, and taking those experiences and learning to be grateful for those. So fast forward, I ended up excelling in sports. Ended up going to college to play sports. But after college, I kind of lost myself. I had devoted my whole life into playing sports, and that's kind of all I knew. So after college, like a lot of people, you go into the regular world and you start doing the adulting thing, and it just didn't work for me. Working for someone else, it just didn't fit. I just realized like I wasn't brought into this world to do that. There's nothing wrong with having a job and working for someone else, but it just did not fit me. So over the years, the past 15 years, I've been in the fitness industry. Currently I help men over the age of 30 go from fat to fit and really take back control of their life. So that kind of gives you a little background of my story and where we are today.
Beautiful. You know, that's an inspiring one, I tell you. That's an inspiring one, and I love it. Okay, so shall we get started with the questions, Tywin?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So what I want you to dive deep on this, okay? What motivated you to leave the corporate world and pursue entrepreneurship? Can you talk to us about that?
Oh man, yeah, such a great question. So really what allowed me to what sparked the interest to leave corporate America, I remember I was working at a insurance company and I had two people, one sat to the left of me and one sat to the right to me. And they had been at the job several years. And I'll never forget every day that I would come in and they would complain back and forth to each other. I was right in the middle of it. And, after coming in day after day and hearing these two individuals that have been at this job for years complaining, I had to ask myself, is this where I want to see myself 15 years from now, 20 years from now, 25 years being part of this conversation? And it was a hard no. I didn't want to be part of that conversation. I didn't want to be one of those people that go to a job that I hate, that I despise, but still show up every single day and complain about it. So I just made the decision, either you can sit here and continue coming to a job that you don't like, or you can do something about it. So from that moment on, that's when I decided I was going to do something.
Beautiful, I got that. Okay, let us talk about fitness. Okay, so why did you
Mhm.
choose to enter the fitness industry specifically? Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, that's a great question. So growing up, I remember very specifically watching my dad, and my dad was my hero, but he struggled with weight. He struggled with getting his weight under control, which led to, diabetes, high blood pressure. He went down that route. And I'll never forget watching my dad just deteriorate and go downhill. So I watched a man that I looked up to, that led our family slowly deteriorate because of this thing called obesity. And I promised myself that I would never do that to my kids. I would do everything in my power not to be that man. And when I figured things out for myself and seen how it changed my life, that's when I decided to, like, okay, I need to do this same thing for other people, with other men.
Oh, I got that. You know, that's that's a great observation. You don't know what you learn from your dad's mistake, and you wouldn't make that kind of choice because you want to be different. That's a great one. That's what smart people do. They learn from other people's mistake, so as to be different. That's a great one. I love that. So can you share a bit with us about your experience helping clients achieve their fitness goals?
Yeah, sure. I think, not I think, when most people start off and they decide they're going to, go on their fitness journey and they're going to get results and they're going to lose weight, they start looking for things. When I say they start looking for things, they start looking for diets and tricks and gyms and the thing. Well, it's not the thing that needs to change. And we know that because we live in an information society. There's no shortage of information. There's no shortage of gyms. There's no shortage of things to do. So it's not the thing that people need. It's the application that they need. People need to learn how to take the thing, right, and become the person that's capable of getting the results. And that's where people get stuck. So it's not necessarily the diet and it's not necessarily the workout. That's not most people's issue. Most people's issue is they're not the person capable of getting the results currently. Doesn't mean they're not capable of being that person. It's just in their current form, they're not capable of getting the results. So they need to have some things tweaked and they need to have some things changed. And a lot of that stuff is up here. It's the 6 inches between most people's ears that hold them back from being the person that they could be and that they should.
Amazing. Just listening to you speak about this stuff, it shows how good you are at this fitness stuff. I could feel that passion in when you were speaking. That's a great one. So can you share
I,
yeah, yeah, man, maybe any story with us about your clients who experience maybe transformation due to your training and all of that. Do you have any?
oh yeah. This What a great question, because this is what it's all about, and this is why I get so excited and riled up. It's watching people's transformation, and I love that you've been using the word transformation because there's a big difference between a change and a transformation. See, here's the difference, and I want to point this out because this is huge. But you're wise. You already got this. If I show you this and I say I want to change this, in order to change this, all I got to do is this. Now it's changed. You see a different perspective. I can change it again by just doing this. I've changed it. But it's very easy for me to revert back to this, which is the original version that you started. This is what most people do. They decide to change, and they change for a little bit, but then they go right back. But the difference between the change in a transformation is this is something completely different. This is never going back to this. And that's what people need to do. So, and what people think is a transformation does not take a long time. The transformation really happens almost instantaneously. And it happens almost instantaneously because the transformation first starts up here. As soon as a person makes the decision that they're going to transform and they believe it, this is the key. You have to believe it. You've planted that seed. Now, once the seed is planted, all you have to wait for is the gestation process to happen. You're just waiting on time. It's no different than if a family decides to have a baby. We all know it takes 9 months to have a baby. It's just how long it takes. Weight loss is it's the same thing, right? But you first have to plant the seed and you have to actually believe that you can do it. Once you believe that you can do it, it's just a matter of time. So,
Good.
and again, I want to go back and make sure I answer your question specifically. So, do I have specific stories? Yes. It happens the same way every time. It's not, I see the result first happens up here, and then I'll see it physically. You'll see it. The physical manifestation takes longer. But once it clicks for someone, I already know when it clicks. I've been doing it long enough. I can see when it clicks. And then it's a matter of time at that point. We just have to wait. They're locked in.
Beautiful. I got that. Okay, so how have you seen the fitness industry change over the past 15 years?
Oh, man, great question. You know what? The fitness industry has changed a lot, but I don't think it's moving in the right direction. I mean, it's good for me in my business, but I don't think it's good as far as for other people. And let me kind of be clear about this. So the fitness industry, there's more gyms now than there's ever been. You have access to more information than there's ever been. We have access to food. We have access to so much stuff. But unfortunately, all of that's done is create more confusion for people. So we've taken a very simple concept of losing weight, which is very, very simple, and it's became so complex. And now what happens is now people have to navigate this sea of information. Some of it's good, but some of it's terrible. And a lot of it contradicts each other. So it's actually harder for someone to figure out and maneuver their way through this. So even though we live in an information time where there's information everywhere, this is an information era, it's causing more confusion than anything else. So again, it's good for me, but in terms of people, it's hard. It's hard because they have to find the right path, right? There's a fast path, there's the right path, and then you have 99 other paths that are going to lead you not even in the right direction, they're leading you the wrong way. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, how do you stay updated with the latest fitness trends and techniques?
Oh, I love it. So the question was, how do I stay up to date on the latest trends and techniques? I don't. And here's why. Trends and techniques always change. Principles, fundamentals, they never change. Those never change. So instead of worrying about the techniques and what's the hottest thing, I just stick with the fundamentals. And I learned that in sports. You know, in my opinion, Michael Jordan, best basketball player of all time. All time. It's just my opinion. But here's the thing. He was the best because all he did was work on the basics. Over and over and over and over. And he was so good at the basics, he became great at the game. This is no different. I just worry about the basics. There's 3 principles that we work on. We work on your mindset. We work on how you physically move your body. And then what you put in your body. Those are the only 3 areas we need to work on. Everything else, it's just a waste of your time.
Oh, I got that. You know, before we started, I said that I am so sure that I would learn one or two things from your insight. And that is happening already, man. Thank you so much. You've shared some amazing stuffs that are really educating, and I love that. Okay, so to bring this to an end, Tywin, what would you like to leave the audience with, like a final thought? And to those ones who would love to reach out to you, maybe you said something that resonated well with them, and they want to learn more. How can that be possible?
Absolutely. So, a couple of things just to kind of leave the audience with, because I'm sure there's probably some people that are going to listen to this, and they're not in a good space, and they're lost, and they're not quite sure how to get started, and or maybe they have gotten started, but they're just not seeing the success they want. First thing I would say to that person, you can do this. You can do this. And you're probably overcomplicating things. So here's what I would piece of advice that I would give that person. Now, this is the Pareto principle. The Pareto principle says 20% of what you do will produce 80% of the results. That means there's only a couple things that you need to learn how to do that are going to produce 80% of the results. And I told you what those things are. And I'm going to tell you again. Your mindset, what you physically do to your body, how you move your body, and what you physically put in your body. Those are the only three things that need your attention. Anything outside of that, don't pay it no attention because it's not worth your time. So that would be my advice to you. And anybody listening to this, hopefully they got some value from that and hopefully it made sense.
Okay, to those ones who would like to reach out to you, how can that be possible?
Yeah, absolutely. So I love just chatting with people and hearing what they got going on. So anybody that wants to reach out, you can reach me on any other social media platforms, either Facebook or Instagram. I would probably say the best one to reach me is Instagram, and that's just my name. So it would be Tywin Kalandyk. It's TywinKalandyk. Just shoot me a message. Let's have a conversation. And again, I put out a lot of free content on there just to help educate people and guide them and point them in the right direction. So even if you don't personally decide to work with me, there's a very good chance you'll probably get some value, at least hopefully. I think you'd be able to find some value on my Instagram.
Beautiful. Thank you so very much, Darwin. You said a lot of amazing stuffs. That part where you mentioned that trends and techniques, they are not constant, they change, but principles don't. It hit me. I love that. That's a great one, and that is so so correct. Sticking to those beautiful principles is far more better than staying up to date with the trends and latest techniques and all of that. So I love that. So that's gonna be the end of the show, man. Thank you for coming and thank you for impacting us with this beautiful insight. It means a whole lot, man. Thank you.
Absolutely, my friend. Thanks for having me.